Hello students, today we are going to begin an important chapter on oceans. Oceans are not just big water bodies on our planet, they are our climate engine, our biodiversity reservoir, and the world's greatest highways of trade. Can you imagine? Oceans cover about 72% of the Earth's surface and hold around 97% of all the water. Yet, less than 5% has been properly explored. That is why, whenever we study oceans, we must connect three things. First, direct facts like the deepest trench. Second, concepts like why cold and warm currents influence fisheries. And third, a map sense of where oceans, currents, and seas are located. Let's now talk about the 5 oceans, arranged from the largest to the smallest. Pacific Ocean. This is the largest and deepest ocean in the world. It stretches from the Arctic Ocean in the north all the way to the Southern Ocean in the south. Asia and Australia lie on its west, while the Americas lie on its east. The equator divides it into the North Pacific and the South. Pacific. The deepest point on Earth, the Mariana Trench, lies here at almost 11,000 meters. The Pacific is also part of the famous Ring of Fire, with active trenches and volcanic island arcs.
Sir, may I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Why is the Pacific called the Ring of Fire region?
Good question. It is called the Ring of Fire because most of the Earth's active volcanoes and earthquake zones surround the Pacific, forming a ring-like pattern. Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic is the second largest ocean. It looks like a long S-shaped basin between Eurasia and Africa on the east and the Americas on the west. Around 8 degrees north latitude, it divides into the North Atlantic and the South Atlantic. Its deepest point is the Puerto Rico Trench. Indian Ocean, the third largest ocean, is our own Indian Ocean. It is surrounded by Asia in the north, Africa in the west, Australia in the east, and Antarctica in the south. The monsoon winds have a strong effect here, especially in the northern part. Its deepest point is the Java Trench. The Indian Ocean contains about 20% of the Earth's surface water. Southern Ocean, encircling Antarctica, the Southern Ocean is stormy and cold. In winters, ice expands over large parts. The Antarctic Circumpolar Current, also called the West Wind Drift, flows here and is the world's longest ocean current. Arctic Ocean. Finally, the Arctic Ocean is the smallest and shallowest. It is centered on the North Pole and surrounded by Eurasia and North America. Its deepest part is the Eurasian Basin, and it remains covered with sea ice for most of the year. Table of deepest points. Let me summarize with a quick table. Pacific Ocean Mariana Trench, Atlantic Ocean Puerto Rico Trench, Indian Ocean Java Trench, Arctic Ocean Eurasian Basin. Now, students, imagine you are slicing the Earth's crust from a continent and moving into the deep sea. What will you see? First is the continental shelf, the shallow, gently sloping, submerged extension of the continent. Its average depth is about 200 meters and its width is 70 kilometers on average. These shelves are economic hubs, rich in fisheries, oil, and natural gas. Next comes the shelf break, a sudden steepening near 200 meters. Beyond that lies the continental slope, which descends more sharply. Its slope is steeper than the shelf, about 2 to 5 degrees, and it often has submarine canyons. At the bottom of the slope is the continental rise, formed by sediments falling down. This zone has a gentle incline and sometimes contains hydrocarbons. Further deep, you reach the abyssal plains. These are the flat, deep-sea plains lying between 3,000 and 6,000 meters. They cover most of the ocean floor. But the ocean is not featureless. There are deep-sea trenches, which are very narrow and very deep. These are formed where tectonic plates collide. Example, the Mariana Trench. And then we have the mid-ocean ridges, long volcanic mountain chains created at divergent plate boundaries. Some ridges even rise above sea level, like Iceland. Moving on, let's talk about coral reefs. Corals are tiny animals called polyps, which build skeletons of limestone. They need warm water, around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, shallow depth, clear sunlight, and good oxygen. There are three types: fringing reefs directly attached to the coast, like those near the Gulf of Mannar in India. Barrier reefs parallel to the coast but separated by a lagoon. The best example is the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. Atolls, ring-shaped reefs surrounding lagoons, usually around sinking volcanic islands like the Funafuti Atoll in Tuvalu. But today, corals face a threat known as coral bleaching. When corals are stressed by heat or pollution, they expel the algae living inside them. This turns them white, weak, and often leads to death. Now let's understand salinity, a very important concept. Salinity means the amount of dissolved salts in water, measured in parts per thousand. The average salinity of ocean water is about 35 parts per thousand. What controls salinity? Evaporation increases salinity, especially in subtropics. Rainfall and river inflow reduce salinity, as in equatorial and coastal regions. Currents and mixing spread salts. Temperature and pressure also affect density and circulation. Generally, salinity decreases from the equator toward the poles. But maximum salinity occurs in subtropical high-pressure zones where skies are clear, evaporation is strong, and rainfall is low. High salinity zones include the Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, and Persian Gulf. Low salinity zones include the Baltic Sea, river mouths, equatorial belts, and polar seas. Extreme cases: Don Juan Pond in Antarctica has salinity of about 44%, the highest recorded. The Dead Sea has 33%. The Great Salt Lake in the USA has about 27%. So students, today we understood why oceans are important, the 5 major oceans of the world, the relief features of the ocean floor, coral reefs, and the concept of salinity. In our next lesson, we will move into waves, currents, El Nino and La Nina, tides, and ocean link transport. Jai Hind.